Alrighty, greetings there, all of my Chun-Li Kung Fu warriors. Welcome back to another Sage's Dojo session. This is your host, Sage Armageddon. We're coming to you with not a dojo session for training, so to speak, but it's going to be more of a replay analysis. We're going to be having a journey through the different ranks. So as you probably noticed here, I made a different account with a new CFN tag. Instead of Omega, it's Abaddon. So that's my CFN tag for this account that we're working with, this dummy account here. So you probably also noticed that my voice probably sounds a little different, probably a little bit clearer. Well, in order to set this whole thing up, it was kind of a pain in the arse to get everything set up to make this new account, with Capcom requiring certain things for your Capcom ID. For the new account, I had to, because of the way I have things set up, I actually had to go and purchase another copy of Street Fighter as well as a new membership just to go through this little journey with you all. So, and of course the console that am using, which is the original PlayStation 5, because the PlayStation 5 Pro does not have a disc drive. So I had to actually go and pull out the older PS5 again so that I could use this hard copy of Street Fighter 6, and unfortunately it seems to be having issues picking up the microphone. So what we're doing now is I'm going to actually be using one of my more advanced audio setups for this. I wasn't intending to do this, so I know for those that might get used to this audio quality, it sounds better. But unless it's a very specific reason, definitely I wouldn't say to get too used to this, because as I've stated before, I do have 3 different channels, and it can be very hard to keep up with all of them, with all of the editing that needs to be done and things of that nature. And of course here, this is primarily to try to just help Chun-Li players so that they have a resource in order to grow, right? And I'm able to do that when I am more agile, as you hear in PR speak with a lot of these companies nowadays. But I'm a little bit more agile. The quality's lower, but I can quickly make content for those that have requested it. But that's just that's a lot of preamble. But I'm just explaining the situation to you. But with that aside, here we're gonna have a bunch of replays that I favorited here, and we're starting off. As you see, I made it to the infamous rookie rank, and actually earlier I made it to iron rank. So we're gonna be taking this journey together within each segment of rank. But I decided to put rookie and iron together. The reason why is because rookie and iron, you can pretty much expect almost the exact same results from there, right? So it's pretty much going to be about the same. I didn't want to segment everything too badly. This is, of course, a resource for Chun-Li players that are going through the ranks, and with each rank that I stop through, I'm going to be doing analysis to go through certain things that you can expect from your opposition. Because the truth of the matter is that something that I've discovered myself is that it's hard to see when you're in the eye of the storm. When you are in those ranks, you can't. Everything is terrifying. Everything is anxiety inducing. But then, especially as you climb into higher ranks, when you go back, you start to see that there are trends that players in those ranks tend to do a lot. And what that does is that takes a lot of the burden off of your mental, because you know what to expect, right? You're like, okay, these players love to mass drive impact when their health gets to a specific point, right? I've seen pros do it all the time. They'll make calls when watching replays, and they're almost always right. So they are very experienced at being able to catch this type of behavior. But that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be going through things to try to help make things easier for all of our Chun-Li warriors going through each of the different ranks. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take one of these replays here with a cool beginner Cammy player. Now I know this might seem strange, like Armageddon, why are you bullying these noobs and stuff like that? We're not, it's not that type of thing. That's not what we're doing here. This is strictly to try to help other players that might be struggling in different ranks. I figured that would be helpful, but I can also brush up on the fundamentals. As you will see here, my methodology is I do not use more power, I guess you could say, than what is necessary. I know it sounds very anime, very Dragon Ball Z like, but that's the way I do things. Some of the way that you see me playing here, I even handle some master ranks playing like this. So it's not to be disrespectful, so to speak. But that's just the way that I train, and that's how I advance myself. So, despite my deficiencies and physiological handicaps that I have, that some people have, as I mentioned plenty of times, I'm sure you've heard reaction speed, yada yada yada, right? So I have to find my own way to overcome these things, and I think that's true for each warrior, for all of you Chun warriors. If there's an area that you are struggling with, you can try the conventional stuff that higher level players tell you, but it's not guaranteed to work. There's no one size fits all solution. Sometimes you have to be creative and think outside the box to find, a solution. And, restraining myself helps me increase my capabilities much faster than normal, to the point where it can overshadow other players. But this isn't really about me. So what we're going to be seeing here is something that you're going to notice about these players in these ranks here is, of course, as you can see right off rip, he just lets rip the spiral arrow fully charged, right? Obviously very unsafe on block. So I just went ahead and punished with the triple jab. Now, if you saw the beginner's guide, you know that you could apply the jab, 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 lightning kicks. The jab, 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 lightning kicks, bread and butter combo here. But in this special scenario, I'm not actually doing the full combo, but you could apply that here as well. People down here are going to be doing a lot of unsafe stuff. These are newer players. They probably have never played a fighting game in their life, right? So they don't know frame data. They don't know fundamentals. They don't know anything, right? So you don't need to, if you are down in rookie, which I don't think anybody is stuck in rookie or iron, but if for some strange reason you are having trouble down here, just try to watch the beginner's guide and learn some of the stuff that I taught, because people down here, all they do is a lot of very unsafe stuff. If you just wait just a little bit, they're going to do something, and I can promise you it's almost guaranteed to be punishable. Even if you don't know frame data, if you block something that they do 9 times out of 10, you can jab, 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 lightning kicks, because people don't, they don't know how to do safe things here. And another thing is that, and as you can see, he's using drive impact. Drive impact abuse is something that you see in pretty much every rank. And we're just gonna I'm just dismantling our opposition using jabs. Like I said, it might seem like bullying, but I do this to master rank players too. Though they are a little bit harder to dispatch, because they actually, if they hit you with something, they actually know how to get value off of it, which segues into this. For those that are down here, you're new, you don't know what's going on, you're probably scared, like, oh man, I'm gonna lose if I don't know what's going on, I'm afraid to do this. If you feel anxious, something that I could tell you from experience is don't be. If you get hit a few times, it's okay, because in these ranks, people do not know how to capitalize off of their stuff. So if they hit you, you're not going to take a lot of damage. If you do take damage and somebody does a big combo on you, they're most likely a smurf, right? They definitely don't belong in rookie or iron if they're doing a giant combo off of one hit, right? So it's if you're fighting somebody like that, just know that you got smurfed, and don't take it too much to heart. But when you're fighting players down here, they don't know how to get value off of what they're doing. So if you get hit with a heavy punch or a sweep or something like that, do not panic. Just take your time and just be patient. In rookie and iron ranks, just be patient. Wait for them to do something extremely unsafe, and then just do some of the bread and butter combos that I showed you, because I can promise you that whatever it is they're doing is going to be punishable. Right. So he's slamming drive impact. I have trouble reacting to that. Doesn't matter what rank it is. And we're just jabbing pretty much. Um, and he's going to keep doing drive impact. This is something that all ranks do, even in master rank. Somebody sees something that works, they will keep using it over and over again, which I find to be strange. I have a hard time reading people because I find it's, unless if you're trolling, that's different. Sometimes I'll keep jumping into my opponent because it's funny, but a lot of these players are definitely serious, especially in master rank. They are actually trying to win. So when they see something work one time and then they do it 50 times, I guess it kind of throws me through a loop because I don't expect anybody to be foolish enough to do that. But I guess I don't understand human nature enough. But yeah, so he's going to keep slamming drive impact. He's going to do it again up here, I'm pretty sure. And I can't actually stop it because even if I wanted to, I don't have enough health to absorb the blow, right? So looks like our opposition took that round, so we're going to go to the next one here. Uh, our opposition's pressing buttons. Fortunately, I'm pretty sure that they don't actually know what they're doing, which is fine. Um, drive impact. This is a got button pretty much, as you can see. This is why people abuse it so much, because it's you have somebody that's probably never played a fighting game in their life, and they have a chance to beat me, who is somebody that has been playing fighting games quite extensively for some time, by just clicking a single button, especially since Capcom unfortunately didn't seem to take into account people that have slower reaction speed. So the only way that you can stop drive impact is by reacting to it. I know you can throw, you can jump, you can drive impact yourself, you can parry, but all of these require you to react to it. It's all the same thing that you're doing in order to do any of those options. So, and our opponent throws us. They don't do a combo because they don't know how. And this was actually me trying to do a drive reversal to get him off of me, and I messed up the input. So, like I said, I don't use drive impact against people, so I'm gonna let him back up. um, and I'm pretty much just trying to dismantle our opposition using as little energy as required. So I'm jabbing. And here I can respond to drive impact if I get like two hits in. Then it's slow enough for me to actually react to. But a raw drive impact, I can't react to it at all. And we're just going to jab them into submission. Alright, he's drive impacting again. It's a bunch of sweeps. Like I said, you saw he did two sweeps afterwards and they both whiffed. Your opponents don't know how to capitalize, so if you get hit, don't be too worried about scrambling to try to not, oh man, I don't want to take a bunch of damage, because they're not going to get anything off of it. If you get knocked down, just wait patiently for them to do, even if you don't know frame data, just wait very patiently. I promise you they're going to do something unsafe, and then you can just use one of the bread and butter combos that I demonstrated to you. It's going to work every time, as long as you've been training. And we're going to continue to jab them into submission here. Looks like I caught the drive impact that time. Goes for the throw. Yep, see, if I get two jabs, it's slow enough for me to respond to. I'm sorry if this is painful to see. Um, it might even seem kind of mean, but trust me, it really isn't. They have a chance to win because I've confined myself to pretty much two buttons. So like I said, I am not here to just dog people. That's not the goal. Right. If you're fighting people that are vastly lower ranked than you are, there's still something that you can gain from it if you know how. Practice, right? Practice areas that you're weak against, restrain yourself, Don't just bulldog people with your full combos when they don't know how to play the game right, because it's kind of unfair, and you're not really gaining anything from it. Neither are they. All right. At least our opponent here got the opportunity to try to see what we were doing and see if they could try to figure out that one thing. They could try to figure out something, even if they don't know frame data. They could probably say, if my opponent is hitting me with jabs, I need to just block, right? There's not a whole lot of stimuli there for them to have to be overwhelmed by, luckily. So they actually can learn something from that. So this might seem like I am being, I'm being kind of mean, but I would say it's very, very far from doing that. I think it would be mean to just like go full combo on somebody that's new to the game. So, like, oh, you're just toying with him or something like that. It's like, yeah, you could see it that way. Like I said, I do this to master ranks too. If you see any of my CFN footage, I do it to master ranks too. Like I said, it's much harder to actually kill them doing this, because if they get a hit on me, it's going to do like half of my health. So, and every time I hit them, it's going to do what, like 10% of their health bar, 5%. All right, so we're going to go to a different game here. This was a game, and I was pretty sure I had. Okay, here we go. Yep, this is one where I lost to Chun-Li. This was actually before the Cammy, if I recall. This is while I was still climbing through Rookie, of course. You can pretty much expect to see the same thing here. You're going to see a lot of really unsafe things. Hisenshu, yeah, you can see that. Technically speaking, he's doing the medium kick Hisenshu. So since they are doing the medium kick Hisenshu, that is technically safe on block. In which case, I can technically take my turn at that point in order to pressure them. But obviously, that's not what we're doing here. So that is kind of safe. But I think they do throw in a couple of light ones, which is definitely very unsafe. So we're just going to continue our jabs here. Right. So seems, like I said, it seems mean, but but like I said, I get to observe their behavior, um, as well as see what they do and check to see what can be punished. And this gives them an opportunity to find a way to counter this. Because if they can get good at countering this, that's one step to not getting blown up by it when you fight master ranks, right? So, Tensho kicks, that's something right there. Well, if you did if you followed the beginner's guide, you could technically do the heavy punish that I mentioned, if you remember, the heavy punch into the stance and spinning bird kick. That's what you would do against somebody that whiffs something like this. We're gonna see if we can get to that point where they do it again. It was a random Tensho. Yep, see that? That's what you would use the heavy punish combo. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, take a look at the beginner's guide. It'll all be clear. That's something that you would want to use in that situation. Oh man. This is grand. But if the heavy punish combo is too much for you, it's okay to do the 3 jabs into the lightning legs. The key thing is to make sure that we're in the beginner ranks. We're going to build habits one at a time. Not everything has to be perfect. You don't need to do the perfect optimal thing every time. I know I said to try to do the heavy punish combo, but if that's too much for you when somebody with something big, if there's too much stuff going on, just practice punishing people, period. Even if you have to do jab, 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 lightning kicks in every situation, until you get more comfortable and you start to be able to recognize when your opponent is vastly unsafe and very punishable, then you can start doing the heavy punish combo. But just build the trait of being able to pick up and be aware of when your opponent makes errors so that you can actually punish them to get damage, right? That's the most important thing, especially in these ranks. So our opponent is abusing drive impact because whoop-de-doo is drive impact 6 the game. Low forward, medium kick, drive rush the game. Fireball, drive rush the game. Corner fighter 6. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just going to continue jabbing. Like I said, I know I'm not showcasing a lot here, but as we go through the ranks, I'm going to amp things up a little bit, even though I'm pretty sure that my jab skill should be sufficient to deal with most opponents I come across. However, when we start getting to certain ranks, I'm going to showcase what you want to expect. So I said, this is rookie iron. You don't have to expect a lot here. Just punish people for doing unsafe stuff. If people are spamming drive impact, block it, or if you can react to it, use your own drive impact to counter it. Or if you mash jab hard enough, you'll break through. You don't have to be too afraid of drive impact because, as you see, I'm getting hit by it, but my opponent is still losing to a jab for the most part, right? So because they don't know how to capitalize on their drive impact. Kakosho. Just walking and jabbing. You see what I'm saying? How my opponent is parrying the jabs. It gives them chances to try to learn and figure out how to deal with certain quote unquote strategies, right? So if I was just bulldogging them with a bunch of different things, they would have no clue what's going on. You know, spinning bird kick combos, being put in the corner, getting plus frames with the standing medium punch. The opponent would have no idea what's going on, right? So that wouldn't be fair. By just doing jabs, this gives them something that they can actually digest, right? So we're both getting something from this. They can learn something, and I'm also getting something from this too. It's not always about toying with people or ego and things of that nature. One of the key things to growth is you have to know how to grow. See, he did that there. You saw that? That's a situation where you could do the heavy punish combo. Or you could just, like I said, if that's too much for you, just do one of the simple bread and butter combos that we did. If I'm not mistaken, our opponent actually does take this round and end up winning. I'm trying very hard to avoid the drive impact, but he manages to get a super out. So our opponent manages to win that round. Congratulations. All right, we're gonna head to the. We're gonna do one more game. We're gonna do a game against an Iron Cami player. We're gonna go ahead and pick the one in which I lost. And see what happens here. Let's see why we lost. You can pretty much expect the same thing. Lots of unsafe, very punishable things, and a lot of jabbing coming from me. It's almost going to be exclusively the same thing, right? Now, this Cammy was probably the toughest person that I fought down here because they started trying to jab me instead. As you can see here, they were getting kind of frustrated with me just jabbing all day. So, but I just changed the timing and spacing of it a little bit in order to beat their jab. See? Think of this as jab training. Seeing how effective a simple jab is. A lot of the times we think of big flashy moves. It's the same thing in Tekken. Even more so in Tekken, it's called a one jab, but a standard jab is very important. From even high level players use it. It's a very good way to get your offense started. In this game with Chun Li specifically, not every character, but a stand jab with Chun Li, might as well give you plus frames because of the distance that it is. It goes pretty far. It has a decent amount of pushback for a jab, and that combined with her movement speed, kind of allows you to bamboozle people if you know what you're doing. So I guess this is kind of jab training, so you could see how effective a simple jab is. Like I said, I still bamboozle master ranks doing this too. It just so happens that because they are capable of dealing damage when they get their hands on me, it ends up with me losing more often than not. But there are plenty of times where you'll see them getting punched in the mouth by jabs over and over again. So this isn't exclusive for iron players. And our opponent drive impacts us and actually gets some damage off of it. Good job. It said this opponent is a little step above the other opponents that we have fought. They are trying to adapt by jabbing us over and over again. And it looks like our opponent won. That was actually pretty fast. They took me down pretty handily there. I think I'm going to have to take a look at the other one. That was faster than I expected. So we'll do this last one here, and then we'll call it a wrap. That was so quick. They took me down so fast. Right. I'm pretty sure I ended up winning this set. So this was probably the game where I won. No, it wasn't. This was the first game, I think. There's a third one afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. So this one is actually using buttons, so it's a little bit harder to get in with the jabs because they're not just letting me into their space so easily. Drive impact whiffs. Managed to break through that one. We're implementing lightning legs here. This opponent's a little bit tougher. It's going to be harder to get to them with just jabs. So as you can see here, this is what I'm talking about. People don't know down here that it's their turn. So if you do something like this, 9 times out of 10 they are going to get hit by it because they're going to try to push their way out. They don't know what frame data is, right? So he's pretty much being frame trapped because he's being hit. You can't press buttons through that, right? So that's what's happening there. So, but we had to implement a little bit more to deal with this one because between the drive impacts and the other buttons, it's a little hard to win with just jabs. See, very frustrated. And what you're saying here is that since he wants to jab, I'm just using Chun-Li's superior range to just stuff his jabs, right? So, and then he gets me with drive impact. Drive impact again because that's my weakness and everybody can tell. Drive impact again. Yeah, he's using it as a crutch. This is why I tell people to not lean on drive impact because when things are working, people lean on it too much and then it becomes a habit, and it's not always going to work. That's something that you're going to find out in fighting games. Something that you do is not going to work against everybody, so you don't want to lean on stuff even if it is working. You want to make sure that you have a multifaceted approach to it. This is coming from a very stubborn person. If it was up to me, I would not change anything that I'm doing. I would keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. But the way to think about it is it's not necessarily changing yourself. It's not trying to be something that you're not. It's still you. You're just making a few adjustments to some of the things that you're doing. So you notice that once the opponent started to adapt, I guess you could say, I was still jabbing them to death. I just added a little bit more to it. I changed the timing of the jab and I added the lightning legs at the end of it, right? So it's in order to make things a little bit different for them. So it's still almost the same exact thing. It's just a slight adjustment, right? So we're not trying to turn a zebra into a giraffe or anything like that. You're still mostly doing the same stuff. You're just varying it up to match the situation appropriately. So Right. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you very much for joining me for these games here. I said this. I don't know how much I'm going to be using this specific mic. It requires a bit of setup, and I know the quality is better than that PlayStation microphone, but it's going to take a lot more time editing these. So, but we'll see what we can do. If I can find an easy way to still maintain my agility when it comes to creating the content in the sessions while using superior audio, that's what I'll do. But that's pretty much it for the analysis there. Like I said, it's not too much crazy stuff going on here. Just a bit of a breakdown. You're fighting rookies. You're fighting iron ranks. Rookie and iron, I did them both together because it's almost the same thing. Um, you're fighting people that are they're beginners. This is probably their first fighting game, first Street Fighter game for sure, most likely. They don't. They're still getting used to the buttons. They're getting used to the dynamics. They don't know how to combo. They don't know how to what the mechanics are. They don't have fundamentals. They don't have anything, right? So if you are new and in this, you're probably in the same boat. But if you're confused on what to do, that's why I'm giving my advice to you. Is that just wait for your opponents to do something unsafe, and then when they do, just punish them using one of the bread and butter combos that I mentioned in the second part of the beginner's guide that I gave. Right, if you don't know what maneuvers or what buttons I'm combining to do that, the first part of the guide will break all of that down for you, and then the second guide will combine it into combos. Right, so that's the way that we have it organized with the beginner's guide in the Sage's Dojo channel. So just follow that advice there. Don't be too anxious if your opponent hits you with something. Don't scramble and start pushing buttons. Just block and wait for them to do something unsafe. Just trust me on that. Now, if obviously this is not going to work against every rank, if you encounter somebody that is destroying you and doing super combos and things of that nature, they're most likely a Smurf, right? So don't be disheartened. If you're fighting somebody that's truly rookie, truly iron rank, don't be anxious. If your opponent hits you with something, if they catch you with a sweep and knock you down, if they throw you, just block the follow up hits. If they keep throwing you over and over again, then obviously you want to break the throw or try to hit them out of it. But these people don't know how to get Okizeme off of their throw. So they're probably not going to really be able to abuse you with it that much. And they don't know how to capitalize on any of the hits that they get. So if you get hit, you're going to win most of your exchanges if you follow the bread and butters that I gave in the beginner's guide. Like I stated, the bread and butter combos. Every time you catch your opponent messing up, you're going to do more damage than they're going to do if they hit you with a random sweep or something like that, right? So it's going to end in a war of attrition. You're going to end up winning that war, right? So that's the advice I can give for fighting people in these ranks. Now, this is Iron 1. Obviously, as I climb up further, I might run into like Iron 4, Iron 5. We might start fighting people that have evolved a bit. If so, when I make the bronze session and analysis, I'll probably do an Iron 4 or 5 game in order to segue into bronze. If I notice anything that's really different that I think that you should look out for, right? But with that being said, that's pretty much going to be it. Thank you all very much for taking a look at this session with us here and looking through these replays. Hopefully this series is helpful for those that are making their way through rank. You're confused, you don't know what to look for, so I'm going through this so I can tell you what to look for, and pretty much what you can do to try to fix the problem. It's going to hopefully help you learn a lot faster and get what you need to get without taking hundreds of hours to try to figure it out, right? So hopefully the guidance is helpful, but feel free to leave in the comments section below if you have any questions or any concerns. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you're willing. This is going to be Sage Armageddon signing out. I hope you all have an awesome day. Take care.